Hi, I'm Blake with Fendt. Today, we're going to do a walk around on the Fendt 1000 series. The 1000 series is going to go from 396 up to 517 engine horsepower with 4 models in between. It's going to start at the 1038 and go up to the 1050. You just need to choose how much horsepower you need. Now, if we look under the hood, the engine is going to be a 12.4 liter engine, and it's going to feature our Fendt ID. Fendt ID is our low engine speed concept. So for example, if you're used to running a machine that's running 2300 RPM, the first time you get in and drive one of these and it's running 1450, 1500 RPM, you're going to kind of question what's going on, right? Perfectly normal in a Fendt tractor. That's actually where we want it. We want to reduce that engine RPM so we can, one, save fuel, we can extend the life of those engines, and then as an added bonus, it reduces the noise that the operator experiences inside the cab. Now on the engine, couple features that are pretty unique that I want to talk about. One of them is going to be a reversing cooling fan. So if you get in a situation where you're pulling a grain cart, you're going behind the combine, something like that, you're building chaff up on that radiator screen, you can reverse that fan from inside the cab. There's 2 ways to do that. You can do it automatically or manually. If you want to manually cycle that inside and hit the button, you can do that, or running in an automatic mode, you can set a timed interval. With a timed interval, say you want it to reverse every 15 minutes, maybe you want it to do it every couple hours. Just choose that time that works best for whatever application you're doing, and it'll go ahead and reverse that for you. Now, something really unique on these that it's pretty exciting is the self-clearing air filter system. So if you get in situations where you get that real fine dust, stuff like that, that starts to build up inside that air filter, typically you'd have to get out and replace that air filter. With the self-cleaning air filter system, it's going to sense that, and it'll actually blow air back through that filter without ever removing that filter itself and breaking that seal. It'll blow all that dirt and dust back out of there and keep you going. Now you can do that automatically like it says on its own, or if for some reason you wanted to, you can hit a manual button and do it manually as well. Now if we go on back a little bit, let's talk about what's inside of here, right? So it's not just about the engine, but let's talk about the transmission. The transmission in every Fendt tractor is going to be a CVT. Specifically in the 1000 series, it's a Vario Drive CVT. The Vario Drive CVT is our next generation of Fendt CVT, where it drives the front and the rear axles independently, gives you that nice pull-in turn effect, that nice tight turn, but also if you get in a situation where the front or the rear axle starts slipping, it'll send power where it needs it or lock them all together, whichever it needs to do. Now the Vario Drive CVT is going to give you speeds in the 1000 series from 65 feet an hour up to 33 miles an hour. There's not going to be any ranges or any clutches or anything like that. The operator's going to have to worry about shifting or forgetting. Simply tell the tractor how fast you want to go, and it's going to go that speed. As far as the engine speed, you will run that automatically, so it's going to set that engine RPM and that transmission ratio where it needs to in order to make your desired speed happen. Now, if we're looking at the cab and the operating system of this tractor, they're all going to be Fendt 1 operating systems in our Fendt tractors. Specifically, as far as we talk about lines, these are going to be all Profi Plus lines. So they're all going to be guidance ready. They're all going to have that steering valve in the 1000 series, so you're ready to go with your receiver. As far as cab suspension, when we look at operator comfort, cab suspension, mechanical suspension is going to come in base. If you want to step that up, you can go to either a 2 or a 3-point pneumatic suspension that's going to increase that operator comfort to that next level. As far as the lighting package, just like the rest of our tractors, you can choose between full halogen or full LED. Really makes it nice and easy. You choose, hey, I want halogen lights or I want LED lights for my application, and then you don't have to worry about having mix-max lights on your tractor. If you want to do something a little bit different even yet, you can even add the ErgoSteer joystick to the 1000 series. The ErgoSteer joystick is going to replace that left-hand armrest, and that's going to let you steer that tractor at field speeds with a joystick without having to reach up and grab that steering wheel. You can stay set back in your seat, control your implement, and steer the tractor all at the same time with joysticks without having to reach forward. Pretty neat. Like the 900 series, the 1000 series also has the option to get a reverse travel station. What that reverse travel station will do is actually take that whole dash column and the seat, and you will spin those 180 degrees, so you and your seat are now going to be facing reverse. So you can drive these tractors in reverse. If you needed to be doing packing silage or another application, maybe potatoes, something like that, where you needed that tractor to be running in a reverse operation, that reverse station is a great option for that. Let's go ahead and walk around to the back of the machine and we'll take a look at the hydraulics and 3-point. Now if we look at the hydraulic options on the Fendt 1000 series, we have a couple of implement pumps that you can choose from. They're going to start out at 58 gallons a minute up to 113.5 gallons a minute of total hydraulic flow available to you. The one specifically that I want to touch on a little bit is going to be our 113.5 gallon a minute pump system. That is actually a dual pump system, and what's unique about that from others in the industry is we will actually have one pump for one valve stack and one pump from the other valve stack. So if you're running something that's going to run a downforce like a planter, and that is going to run at high pressure all day long, now you want to also run your CFS or your vacuum, something else that's going to run a higher flow but lower pressure, we can actually separate those systems out. Traditionally, if you had a tractor where those were combined, you'd be running that total 70 or 80 gallon a minute of hydraulic flow over max pressure all day long, creating a bunch of heat and wasting a bunch of fuel for no reason. With this system, we could separate those out, and so no longer are we having to run that full 80 gallon a minute over high pressure. Maybe you only need to run 20 gallon a minute of that over high pressure, and the rest of it could be running at 1200 or 1400 PSI, a much lower PSI, not putting near as much strain on your implement or the tractor. As far as valves, you can have a max of up to 6 rear valves and up to 1 front valve. Currently in this configuration shown, it is going to have 6 rear valves on it. One thing I want to point out is going to be the color of these valve covers. If you ever look at the back of a Fendt and you see different valve covers, you kind of, well, what is that? Well, the actual color, you know, green, brown, purple, these are the color of the valve, but if you notice this one is gray and the rest of these are black. These ones that are gray like this are going to be a high flow option. So if you look, it's actually got a larger coupler inside of it than the next one over. So what that means is those are going to be a high flow option. It's a real easy way if you're looking at the back of a Fendt tractor to identify, hey, does this have a high flow valve on it or not, or is it just a standard flow valve? Now as far as 3-point options that are available on the 1000 series, you can get single or double acting 3-points, and what that means is a single acting 3-point is going to be like a standard 3-point where it's going to lift up, but it will not pressure down. If you opt for a double acting 3-point, that's going to actually have the ability, you can set down pressure on that 3-point as well. Maybe you got a ripper or something like that where you help push that implement down into the ground, double acting is a great choice for that. As far as categories go, you're going to have category 3 or 4N or a 3/4N, excuse me, that you can choose from with these. You can also get a quick hitch, as this one has here as well. Now if we look on the rear of these machines, this tractor was equipped without a PTO for their application, but if you did want, you could get a 1000 RPM PTO shaft available for the 1000 series. On the back, a couple things I want to touch on. This does have the Power Beyond ports, so if you wanted to run a planter or an air seat or something like that where you needed a case drain, a return, and a Power Beyond, these can be equipped on the 1000 series with no issues. This is going to be there's a couple sets of braking on here we're going to talk about. This one specifically is going to be the hydraulic trailer brake. This is for a dual line system. If you had a grain cart or a big gravity wagon that had a single line system, that's not a problem. You can still run those systems on that dual line system. And then over here on the other side, we're going to have a set of glad hands. These are going to be just like your standard truck and trailer glad hands. So if you had a pup trailer you wanted to pull with this tractor, you could still hook your brakes up and go ahead and operate just like normal. Additionally, something that I think is kind of handy, if you keep an air hose with you, if you get in a situation where you need to blow out a seed tube or something like that, hook it up to your chuck, go ahead and blow out what you need to blow out and carry on. Up on the fender, we do have our fender controls here as well. On the left side, these blue ones are going to be for the 3-point. If you had a 2-point hitch that you were backed up to and you wanted to raise and lower, you could do that there. This one's got a blank plug in it because this tractor wasn't equipped with a PTO, but if yours had a PTO, you would have a fender icon there as well where you could actually start and stop the PTO from the fender without getting in and out of the cab on these machines. Looking over just to the right next is going to be these black ones. So this is going to be for cylinder extend and cylinder retract. If you notice those colors, they don't have a color designation in them. That's because in the terminal you can choose whichever valve you want to control. So if you have a hydraulic jack that you wanted to be able to put it on the yellow valve per se, you would just tell it the yellow valve when you're in the cab. Then when you get out here to go ahead and get that hooked up, plug it in, boom, and now you're operating the yellow valve with those fender controls. That's going to about wrap it up for the back of the machine. Let's go ahead and walk over to the front and we'll take a look at the front 3-point. Now when you're looking at the front 3-point, you're going to have 3 different options on the 1000 series. You can get just the standard ballast hitch. What that means is it's going to be these lower 3-point arms, but instead of hydraulic cylinders here, it's going to have links in those that are holding that rigid. That's a good option if you're never going to want to take anything on or off the front of that. You just want to set your weight on the front or set a liquid tank on the front and go. If you want to run something where you want that to raise and lower, you do have a single acting version of that. Single acting meaning it will pressurize up, but it will not put any down pressure on that implement. If you want to take that one step further and you want it to have a double acting system, we do offer the double acting system on the front of the 1000 series where you can put down pressure on those as well. If you remember we were at the back of the machine, we were talking about you could be equipped with one front valve. This one does have it, so I'll go ahead and give you a quick view of what that would look like. Now one other thing I want to talk about, and I want to show you why we're at the front of the 1000 series, is going to be our front axle suspension. The front axle suspension on the 1000 series is actually going to be a double wishbone style. So if you look, we're going to have a wishbone here on the bottom, and we're going to have a wishbone up here on the top. These are going to be fully independent of each other from the left to the right. So if you go to cross over something, your axle isn't having to pivot, it just hops over it on the one side and you keep going. Really does give you that next level of ride comfort that you're used to with the Fendt tractors. Another unique option on the Fendt 1000 series is going to be Vario Grip. Vario Grip is an option that lets you inflate and deflate your tires from inside the cab. You can set the front and rear axles independently of each other, and you can set both a road and a field pressure. So for example, if you pull in the field, hit the button and it'll go ahead and air those tires back down to what your field pressure is. It'll reduce your compaction, increase your traction, help you get that job done that much better. When you pull back on the road, hit the button again, it'll inflate to what you had your road pressures set at, and that will go ahead and help you extend the life of those tires and get that nice, smooth, and efficient driving down the road. Last, but definitely not least, is our Gold Star Customer Care Program. That's going to include all your routine and scheduled maintenance for 3 years or 3,000 hours. And to back how confident we are in those machines, we offer a 48-hour loaner guarantee with that. If that machine goes down for more than 48 hours and we can't get you back up and running, you're guaranteed a loaner. Thank you for taking the time to walk around the 1000 series with me today. I hope you learned something new. If you've got any more questions or you'd like to learn more, please visit your local dealer or you can find us at Fendt.com. If you're not sure who your local dealer is, we have a dealer locator on the website. You can type in your zip code and it'll show you who your closest dealer is to you. We look forward to having the opportunity to be able to help serve you and your operation better. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.